Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
To another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I'm here with my special guest for today, Bruce Tulgan. Bruce, are you with us? Hello, Bruce.
Hello, it's Bruce Tulgan.
Hey, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I had a hard time following the various links to get in. I'm so glad to finally get on the phone with you.
Yep, absolutely, man. Honored to have you with us, man. This is Life Transformation Radio, and I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So if it's your first time joining us, welcome. If you're listening to us for a while, welcome back. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting those transformational moments that change our lives, and how we use them to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. Every day we go live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you for joining us live. And if you are catching us on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, Overcast, CastBox, Google Podcasts, Pandora. We also have a YouTube channel where all of our podcast episodes get repurposed to. Is Life Transformation Radio. So be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel, but tell your friends and subscribe to the show. The guests I bring on the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, basically amazing human beings that are having an impact in the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that on a global scale. If you have any questions for any of the guests during our live broadcast, at 5:30 time on the Blog Talk Radio Network, go ahead and give us a call and ask your question at 657-383-1109. Again, the number 657-383-1109. Bruce, I am so honored to have you on the show. You are doing amazing, amazing, amazing work, and I cannot wait to dive in to what we're going to talk about today, which is the art of being indispensable at work.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I love the idea of what you're doing. So I think it's super cool also that you spent time as an Air Force drill instructor. That's really amazing stuff.
That was probably the best 4 years of my military career. I learned how to teach, train, lead, mentor, speak. That was literally the catalyst of how I became a keynote speaker, was teaching drill classes, dorm classes, inspiring the young men and women that I had put through basic training. I probably put the 600 young men and women into the military and trained them how to be military leaders. And it was the highlight of my career. I loved my 4 years down there at Lackland Air Force Base. It was great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, on behalf of myself and my family, I say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The title of this episode is The Art of Being Indispensable at Work with author Bruce Tulgan. He is a best-selling author, an advisor to business leaders all over the world, and a sought-after keynote speaker. Since 1995, he has worked with tens of thousands of leaders and managers in hundreds of organizations, ranging from Aetna to Walmart and from the U.S. Army to the YMCA. Bruce lectures at the Yale Graduate School of Management, as well as other academic institutions. His books include updated and expanded edition of Not Everyone Gets a Trophy and the best-selling It's Okay to Be the Boss. He is the founder and chairman of RainmakerThinking, Inc., the management research, consulting, and training firm he founded in 1993. Bruce Tulgan is the author of the new book, The Art of Being Indispensable at Work, from the Harvard Business Review Press, which comes out later this month, July 21st. So we're going to look for that, and we'll have some links that everybody can get a copy of that. Definitely all the listeners need to go ahead and get a copy. You can go to RainmakerThinking.com, RainmakerThinking.com. You can check out all of Bruce's stuff, all of the work he's doing, and he'll have links to his books and everything that you can get there. All of his work is based on 27 years of intensive workplace interviews and has been featured in thousands of news stories around the world. You can follow him on your favorite social media platform, on LinkedIn and on Facebook. The links are right there in the show notes. Connect with them. Send him a friend request, letting him know that you listened to his episode of Life Transformation Radio. Bruce, my first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever ask, is why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I was an unhappy lawyer back in the early 90s, and I set about writing a book, and then the book came out, and everybody started calling, and I thought, gosh, this beats working.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I say anyway. That's what I tell everybody. I probably work harder than I would have if I were a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm curious. I'm a curious person. And what I do is interview people. So I get to learn all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to learn. And I guess, first and foremost, I think of myself as a student of life and as a student of business, as a student of management. And so, to be able to ask people what their secrets of success are, to be able to ask people what are the big problems, I think ultimately it allows me to be a student, a permanent student.
I love that. And really selfishly, that's one of the reasons why I love doing the show. Otherwise, I would have never met each other possibly. I've met all kinds of amazing people. I've been guests on the show. I've had huge name guests, like Frank Shankowitz, founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He was on my show. And I have a chance to be close to the most amazing people, large name, small name, undiscovered people. I have the amazing opportunity to have a 40-minute conversation with them. I've had amazing conversations on this show. So I completely understand and resonate with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's, look, I'm a good student and now I'm old. So, I get to meet all these people. I mean, look, I learn as much from interviewing people who empty bedpans in nursing homes and people who dig ditches and people who work in grain silos. And, I learn it's so interesting to me to see, I often joke, I don't work, I watch people work. And I ask them about it, But the truth is that, then as a result of that, I'm able to boil down what I'm learning now and then, and I have the tremendous privilege of writing it into a book and getting to produce a book. I don't have children, so my books are like my children.
Got it. That makes sense. I wanted to ask you, and something that I kept thinking about hearing you talk about your why. You're a student, you love interviewing people, curious, you love to learn. How do you feel about self-mastery? A lot of the people that I talk with, they're always talking about self-mastery. You have to master oneself in order to become healthy, successful, profitable. I mean, the whole list of results happen because of self-mastery.
That's so true. Like I often say the first person you have to manage every day is yourself. Is it self-mastery? I mean, self-mastery is certainly a goal. That's the goal. I can't say that I've mastered it, but I certainly, every single day, you got to manage yourself. You got to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit. You got to try to grow and learn. I always think, if you're comfortable learning in plain sight, if you're comfortable trying hard, that's how you keep getting better and better. And, it's good to have good self-evaluation.
Yeah.
It's
I
good
100%
to have.
agree.
What's that? Yeah. I mean, so, the thing is, self-evaluation nowadays, a lot of people, they're like, I look in the mirror and I like what I see. I'm okay with who I am. I've just got to be me. And, okay, that's great. But, self-evaluation, the mirror is only a good teacher if you have an objective standard that you're working on getting better at, and there are best practices. There are better ways of doing things that, 30 push-ups is better than 20 push-ups. 30 good push-ups is better than 30 bad push-ups. Like, I don't think all styles are equally valid. If my style of saying hello to you is to punch you in the nose, that's ridiculous, So I think, self-mastery is right, but you've got to decide, who do you want to imitate? Who do you want to be more like? I was just talking with a fella, a 2-star Air Force general, so he's your kind of guy. He retired about a year ago. And he was telling me that, his rule is practice being the person you want to be.
Got it. Okay.
And I just think that's so powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever seen the Matthew McConaughey video where he talks about he needs someone to love, someone to come home to, and someone to chase?
Oh, that's great. I don't know that particular video, but someone to chase, And I like to put it in a more like, so there's two ways to think about it, right? One is look around and who's the best, and then imitate that person. Try to be more like that person. But the newest revision of that I've been loving is this practice being the person you want to be. So that to me, that's not like being somebody else. It's being a better me, Yeah,
100%. I 100% agree with that. And combined with everything else that we're, supposedly that we're supposed to be doing, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul, mental, physical, social, spiritual resilience. To be a lifelong learner,
emphasis on
right?
Resilience. I love that. I love that.
To be a lifelong learner. I think it pays dividends. I honestly do. I think that it pays absolute dividends in the end if you are a lifelong learner and and you remain curious, right?
Yeah, and human beings are not static, right? So you're either getting better or you're getting worse. It's just usually if you're getting worse, you don't notice. You're getting worse a little tiny bit at a time, and you don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep from getting worse? You got to really try to get better. Actively try to get better, and be focused. And the idea of indispensable doesn't mean you reach this pinnacle and then you're the indispensable person. The idea of being indispensable, at least based on our research, is how you conduct yourself. And to your point, resiliency is a huge part of that. Lifelong learning is a huge part of that. Chasing after a better you, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. The whole focus of the show is about our transformation. What you say is a transformational moment that happened in your life, which then puts you on the path of what you're doing today.
Well, I was just telling this story yesterday that, the first time I was invited to go give a keynote speech was right after my first book came out in the early 90s, Managing Generation X. And I went to give this speech at a big company, and it was a disaster. I didn't know. It was so awful. That feeling where, so I get up and I made a joke, and everyone laughed. So I was like, all right, this is great. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm out of stuff. And it was like 25 years ago. But, I thought, well, I had written a book. I mean, the book had gotten tons of attention, and I was 27. And companies were calling and asking me to come speak. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, come speak. And they were like, what's your fee? And I was like, fee? And then I just started to think, I wonder what a lot is. I'll just say that and see if they say yes, And I show up there, and I didn't, it turns out knowing a lot about a subject and being able to write a book about a subject, it's not the same as being able to get up and speak to a group for an hour and a half. And what's funny about that is it was such a disaster. It was so scary. It was so awful. I mean, after like 10 minutes, they said, hey, let's take a break. And then the guy in charge came up to me and was like, what's going on? And I was 27. I was like, is this unusual? And right. The people I was with, we actually escaped. We left. They said, what do you want to do? I said, let's get out of here. And we ran away.
Oh, no way.
We did. It was it was bad, man. And, and so, but at that time, the book was doing so well. It was Managing Generation X. It was the early 90s. Everyone wanted me to come tell them about young people because they were all scared of the young people, They were inventing the internet. Back then, remember, Generation X was like, come to work whenever you feel like it. Bring your dog. We have magic business models. It was the first .com boom, so all the grown-ups were like, uh-oh. The grown-ups were scared of Generation X. Uh-oh, they're inventing a whole new thing, and, they don't need us anymore. So all these old-fashioned companies, as soon as the book came out and made a splash, they all were – it wasn't new companies. It was old-fashioned companies that were inviting me to come speak. So the problem was, I get home and it was my first time on stage and it went really badly. Like if I had vomited on the audience and then died, it would have been a more successful speech.
Oh my God.
And I'm not kidding, man. And so, so I had to make a decision. I had 12 gigs lined up and I had to decide, am I going to just, I guess I'm not a speaker, or am I going to learn how to speak? And I learned. And, I learned that, it's just like anything else. You got to practice. And, that's what I've ended up doing, giving 100 keynotes a year for the last, ever since.
Wow. Yeah, I got booked my first time. He really kind of in the spotlight too much. But as a drill instructor, you're kind of just thrust in there. And I taught a class, and it was bad. Like, people are looking at me, and they're like looking around. Like, you could see that people who are listening are looking at the other instructors, like, please help me. You know, like people are like looking around, like, where's the exit? I got out of here. You know what I mean? But they can't because they're basic training.
But you must,
it was bad.
You must see, and it must be true for you, and that if you know how to turn failure into a building block,
sure,
that's such an important part of growth, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And in your military background, so, you know, in my book, The Art of Being Indispensable at Work, the second to last chapter is about keep getting better and better at working together. And one of the concepts I use in there, I borrowed from the military, the after action review, which is, after every action, you sit around, hey, what did we do? What went right? What went wrong? What could we do better? And, just taking a continuous improvement approach to working together with your colleagues to achieve goals. Being indispensable is a process. It's a marathon. It's a long game. It's not about, being there when somebody comes and says to you, hey, I need this. It's not about saying yes to everyone and everything. It's about playing the long game of delivering and getting better and better at working with people.
There are those, though, that are very comfortable sitting at a desk, not growing. I mean, they're very comfortable, like, I got the job, and I know that I got the position I want, and I'm done. I'm good to go.
Well,
I'm very comfortable.
You're right, but the funny thing is that people who are ready to declare victory and they're done growing, almost always they're getting a little bit worse every day. They just don't notice it.
Wow.
Because if you don't try to get better, it's hard to keep from getting a little bit worse.
So your transformational moment is you're sitting there on stage bombing. I mean, you're toast, right? And this is bad. And so you run away. You're like, screw it. I got to learn. I got to do this. I got 12 gigs. I got to learn. And you learned over time, watch some videos, some books, do whatever it is you got to do. And you get better each time. And I would, because I'm a speaker, I would bet that even today you get on stage, decades later, you still learn something every time you get on stage.
Oh, every single time. And what I did,
the
way, the transformational moment was the day after, where I had to decide, I'm not going to do that again. So am I going to do what's necessary, right? But am I going to do what's necessary to get really good at this in the next 6 days? And, I basically worked 12 hours a day because what I hadn't done was said words out loud in front of a mirror, said words out loud in front of a person, worked out lines, worked out a sequence of lines, memorized my lines. I didn't have a show.
Right.
And you're absolutely right that every single time I work with an audience over the last 25 years, ever since then, I learned so much in the Q&A because when people ask me questions, I know what my research that I'm trying to tell them about. I see what it makes them curious about. I see what it triggers for them. And then they ask me questions, and sometimes I have a ready answer, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I think I know the answer, and I try it out, and they're like, nope. And everyone's like, no, that's not right.
Right.
But if I say something and everyone nods and smiles, then I'll try it again and then try it again. And then I'll start to test it in our research. And then I'll say, okay, I got a new, I'm verifying a new best practice.
Fair enough. What I still today, I've been speaking since 2009. I'm booked to speak 20-25 times a year. Virtual summits, tons of virtual summits. I'm a guest on probably 60 podcasts a year. I probably speak on podcasts, virtual summits, and live events in any given year. I'm speaking, I'd say close to 70, 80, 85 times. And one piece that I haven't mastered is, I think this is big, is I always walk off stage, and as soon as I hit those steps, right, you walk off stage, like, thank you, everybody, you walk off stage, and you hit those steps, you go, forgot to say this. Dang it. Every time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Every time.
But I know just what you mean. I really do. And, look, that's all part of self-reflection and getting better and better and better. And, if you're a specialist, you've got your best practices. You've got your repeatable solutions. You've got your ways of doing things. But there's always room to learn more. And, imagine if you're a surgeon and every time you finish a surgery, you're walking away and you thought, ooh, whoops, I forgot that one thing.
I forgot that stitch. Man. Right. Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, but as a teacher, as a speaker, the stakes, if you forget one line, well, you can send everyone an email.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this for a second, and then I want to switch to the books. I want to address something. I read a book by Michael Port, which arguably is one of the greatest keynote speakers in the business. Grant Baldwin's amazing. Everybody talks about Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, yeah, cool, got it, whatever. But if you've ever heard Michael Port speak, and he has a company called Heroic Public Speaking, and to coach with them, it's like $20,000. But he has a book called, man, I forgot the name. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I'll tell you about it. So I'm going to look this up. So I read this book, and it tells you like how to get a job interview, like how to win a job interview, how to get booked to speak, how to, everything, right? Win the job interview, win a date. Everything. How to talk to people. Steal the show. Steal the show. Steal the Show is an amazing, amazing, amazing book for deal closing speeches, job interviews, whatever. So in that book, he talks about what made him a great speaker was he was an actor. One of my other speaker friends told me, he's like, dude, you need to go act in live theater, like in plays. I said, okay, let's do this. So I did. Well, I read and immediately after I read the book, I went and auditioned to be Brick on a tin roof. My first ever live theater acting of ever. And the director was telling me, he's like, man, you must be doing this for years. You were so good. I'm like, nope, never acted before. He's like, no, but I'm a speaker. I memorize things and deliver keynotes, but no, I've never done this before. He's like, no freaking way. I just read the book, Steal the Show by Michael Port, and then I came and auditioned.
Wow.
I learned in those weeks and months of rehearsing for that play more than the years that I spent on stage. Just in those weeks, just working with that director, because I learned what blocking was. I learned what I needed to memorize. And the one piece of information that I've always stuck with is that you ever had a conversation with somebody, or maybe they're on a podcast, or maybe you're on stage and you hear somebody go, look, if they have slides, they go, here's my slide. Oh, I didn't, what's on this slide? I don't remember putting this in there. And they start having conversations with themselves, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll say this and this and this, and oh, and I forgot to tell you this. Yeah, let's like 4 slides back. I forgot to tell you this. I really want to tell you this. And then go back, and the audience is like, what the hell? One thing I remember, and one thing I will take with forever, the audience doesn't have your script. The audience doesn't have your slides. The audience has no idea what you're going to talk about. So if you miss something, miss it. Because they won't know the difference anyways.
Yeah, I often say to my wife, sure, they liked it, but they don't know I could have done so much better, And because of course they they have no idea what to expect.
100%. And literally that's my big takeaway from time on stage. And I've gone on to do other plays. I was in Clue. The next play that I did, I was in Clue. I was the crazy butler. Amazing, had a lot of lines, but I learned blocking and positioning. So now when I go on stage and speak, I block out my talk. So I don't exactly memorize my whole keynote, but what I do is I say, I'm going to talk about this in the left part of the stage. I'm going to talk about this on the right part of the stage. In the center, I'm going to ask a question. And so I just block out parts of my talk. Boom, nailed it. And get standing ovations almost every single time. So that's what's really helped me to become a better speaker. And you said like lifelong learner, right? That was the door that fueled my growth to become a better speaker and even a live performer.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think often, I always say I try to do one part entertainment, one part aha, and one part concrete tools and takeaways. That's what I try to give people. But you got to make it entertaining and fun for people. Otherwise, for one thing, that's a good pedagogical tool. It's a good way to make people learn, to tie some kind of emotional response. And laughter, I think, is a really good one.
Oh, huge. And pattern breakups. Like if you watch every speaker go on stage, they're going to go, hi, thanks for having me. Let's give everybody a round of applause, or let's thank the host and what great speakers we've had. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. When I'm coaching speakers, I tell them, do not qualify yourself, not one bit. Stop it. Because you're on stage, you've already made it. You're already qualified to be on stage. Don't continue qualifying, just deliver value. So I go out on stage and I ask two questions. Hey, so I'm going to talk about like this business or whatever. Like, who knows what business positioning is? Raise your hands. Outstanding, put them down. Who thinks that their business is positioned correctly? Raise your hands. Outstanding, put them down. And then here's the joke. Who's not going to raise their hand no matter what I say? It kills every time. It's absolutely amazing. And I say, thank you so much for having me. I want to acknowledge you, the audience, for being here today. I love every single one of you. And I give it to the audience. I give my energy to the audience. And then I tell them what I'm going to talk about. And it's a military thing. We tell them what we're going to talk about. We talk about it. And then we recap what we talked about.
Right.
And like that's the military way. Yeah, exactly. And it works.
10-minute break.
Yeah, and then take a 10-minute break. Yeah, man. So, and you've been working with people all over the world huge companies too. So, since 1993, you've had Rainmaker Thinking. Talk about that. What is Rainmaker Thinking? Yeah,
what we do first and foremost is customized organizational research. So we do organizational assessments and talent assessments. And it's what led to my new book, because one of the questions I always ask people, so what I do is I go in and I interview everyone. And I don't try to make it scientific, because it's not. I'm trying to learn from everybody. Who's who, what's going on around here. And one of the things I ask everybody is, hey, tell me who your go-to people are. Who's your go-to person? Who are your go-to people? And I try to get them to mention, what's so great about that person? And, and I try to look for the people who show up on those lists over and over again. And I especially over time. And one of the things I've been trying to figure out is, what is it those people have in common? And that's what the art of being indispensable is really about. Is over 25 years I've been asking, I've asked hundreds of thousands of people, tell me about who are your go-to people. And over time trying to figure out, what is it they have in common? And, is it that it's the greatest technical expert? Well, sure, you got to be good at your job. Is it that they're the hardest workers? Well, sure, you got to be a hard worker. Is it that they have a great attitude? Well, sure, you got to have a great attitude. But, that's just table stakes. It's like, what is it that they manage to do? And it's that their whole sense of service, right, that they want to add value for others. They want to serve others. Others go to them because they deliver for people. And that's not saying yes, yes, yes to everything. Because if you say yes, yes, yes to everything, you don't end up delivering for people. So one of the big ahas for me was realizing how much trying to please in the moment, saying yes, 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 getting yourself overcommitted was a way that so many people who want to be go-to people, they want to be indispensable, they want to work hard, they want to be good at their job, they want to build up relationships, but overcommitment syndrome is very bad for performance, and it's very bad for workplace relationships. And so, that's how people end up seeming like wannabes. That's how people end up seeming like imposters. That's how people are sometimes go-to people. Yeah, if you go to that person, sometimes that person will deliver for you. Sometimes no. That person's inconsistent. Or, oh, yeah, that person used to be a go-to person. Then she got burned out. And so it's the people who play the long game by making good decisions. It's the people who show up, they're confident, but they're determined to add value. So they do add more value than most people, but they pace themselves, they play the long game, they align with leadership, they have structured communication so they know what's what, and they are determined to make good decisions. They know that every bad yes deprives you of a good yes, because it's going to crowd out a better yes because it takes up a bunch of time, and that every good no frees you up for a better yes. So, one of the things that was so interesting was the people whom everyone goes to over and over and over again, who stand the test of time, it wasn't exactly what I thought I was going to find. And that's why I thought it was interesting enough for a book.
I love it. And where can everybody find your book?
Well, it's Harvard Business Review Press, so I'm pleased to say wherever books are sold. It comes out July 21st. I think it's available on Amazon. For sure it is, but I think it's available in just about any bookstores that you could find. It should be in the airports, even if I don't know if we're still flying.
That would be cool.
I haven't flown flown in a long time. It's so weird. I was on the road, 20 days a month, and then I haven't traveled in 4 months.
Yeah. Having a book in an airport, that's tough. It's crazy because like if you self-publish or go a different route, your book may be on Barnes & Noble online or on Ingram Spark, but maybe won't be in the airports or maybe certain bookstores. And overwhelmingly, everybody usually self-publishes now because that's where people buy books. I can't tell you the last time I've ever went into a Barnes & Noble store. 10 years ago, if your book wasn't in a bookstore, you weren't even considered a real author. But now, I think everybody usually gets their books.
Yeah, exactly. Self-publishing was sort of considered, it wasn't a real book, but that's just not true anymore because the technology of publishing has changed so much. If the truth is, the new book, I don't know what it actually sells for, but the cover price is $28. On Amazon, usually you buy it for half that or whatever it is. But even so, if I see $1 a book, that's a lot. You don't publish a book like this to make money on the books. It's
correct.
For me, it was the honor and privilege of working with Harvard. They helped me make a better book. They really did. And so I'm thrilled to be with them. But nowadays, sadly, if you love bookstores, people don't go into bookstores that much.
Yeah, that's true, man. They just don't. So what I want to end the show with is, what's the message? The takeaway that you want the audience to know and understand, if they listen to nothing else that we've talked about today, what do you want them to take away from our show today?
Don't focus on what other people can do for you. Focus on what you can do for other people. If you really, really, really believe in that you can add value in every interaction, every single interaction, think about what can you do in this interaction to add value. And if you approach things that way, that doesn't mean you do everything for everybody. It means you make good decisions. You make good decisions. Know when to say no, how to say yes, work smart, finish what you start, and keep getting better and better at working with other people by talking about, hey, how can we get better at working together?
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. You're doing so much, and you have such a powerful message that needs to be heard. So I'm going to books, not everyone, which I chuckle and laugh at, because the whole cancel culture that we're in right now, and everybody love everybody, everybody's perfect, and everybody right, like this whole generation that we deal with, like, it's not how it works. You're not always a winner. Like, and my kids like, really? Like, yeah, you're special, but like, you're not always a winner. Like, you got to earn it. You got to work hard. You got to earn it. So
yeah, or else winning is just not the right concept for what we're talking about. Like I'll say to business leaders every single day, I say, everybody knows that some people are more valuable to the business than others. That, a really, really great employee is worth more than 3 or 4 or 5 mediocre people. That's just true.
Yep.
Not in the eyes of God. And, what I like to say is, hey, in the eyes of God, of course we're all God's children. I'm not saying that these people are more valuable as human beings. They're just better at their job.
Yep. Same thing in the military. There's people that you'll never go to because they're terrible leaders, because they don't build up other leaders around them. They hold people back. And then there's other people that are just so amazing at their job, and it's like they consult the Dead Sea Scrolls or something. They just have the answer to everything. Like they're so good at what they do. And those are the ones that people follow. So yeah, I completely understand and resonate with your line of thinking and everything that you've written. Bruce, like I said, this has been amazing. I'm glad we got to do this. I'd love to have you back again. Tell everybody where they can find you, how to contact you, and where you want to direct their attention to.
Yeah, it's easy to find us. We're RainmakerThinking.com. People can email me at brucet@RainmakerThinking.com. I always respond. I'm on Twitter at Bruce Tulgan. And, of course, go get the book, The Art of Being Indispensable at Work. And thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for including me on the show. And it's any career airman is a friend of mine.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything's resonated with our conversation today on Life Transformation Radio with author, speaker, advisor, business leader, founder, Bruce Tulgan, please connect with them on your favorite social media platform. LinkedIn and Facebook links are right there in the show notes. Go to RainmakerThinking.com. Look at what he's got. Check out his other books. And don't forget to subscribe to Life Transformation Radio on your favorite podcast platform. With that, I close the show by saying live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. Call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.